Hey guys, Matt Hearn here with MSTARS, and I wanted to take a few minutes today to just discuss what the changes that are happening in the arena. And of course, you've been watching our email campaigns as they come out, sort of inform you of what's happening in the debt settlement and debt relief space at large, even in regards to the student loan debt relief industry, which is an emerging market that looks promising, but riddled with landmines in regards to compliance violations, which could significantly increase your risk for targeted investigative action and or enforcement action. So I wanted to take a minute today to just elaborate on what I'm saying, because I'm not so sure that the message is coming across. The CFPB is determined to circle back into the debt settlement space, the credit repair space, even the student loan space, prepaid debt cards, all of that. I wanted to read to you an article from Lexology, which we're members of, obviously, just in regards to what Richard Corduroy had to say in regards to the debt settlement and credit repair industries and what the CFPB's new agenda moving forward, what that entails in regards to circling back and looking or examining this industry again, even closer. Of course, we know that in 2010, the Federal Trade Commission got very aggressive in passing even the legislation and making changes to the telesales rule to sort of include specifically debt settlement, which was a power play, caused a great rift in the industry, but it most definitely cleaned up some of the bad actors that were unable to comply with those rules, and it gave them a trigger in which to launch investigative action and enforcement action against these bad actors. The CFPB, however, a lot more aggressive. They've got a lot more enforcement personnel, investigative personnel. They've got a lot of legislative framework that they've created that allows them swift action in regards to dealing with violations of their UDAAP mandates. And what he said here, debt settlement and credit repair services, while debt settlement services fall under the jurisdiction of the CFPB, credit repair services don't clearly do so. Nonetheless, they're now included in the portal. So, and what we're talking about in regards to the portal is the Sentinel system, the consumer complaint portal. It allows consumers to create a narrative-driven complaint in regards to your company, in which case they can clearly state their story. They can make it as elaborate as they like in regards to all of the details. They provide a huge amount of evidence against you in regards to those complaints. And what's interesting is that majority of the consumer reporting sites out there, from PIS Consumer, the GetOutOfDebt.org website, the Better Business Bureau, the State Attorneys Generals, any complaint portal online that a consumer can lodge a complaint against your company is now fed into this portal system. And what it does is it puts you on the radar very quickly in regards to a consumer complaint. It no longer takes a volume of complaints with a uniform complaint message. It now comes down to one hot complaint, potentially getting you under review. And so the complaint categories that they included in the debt settlement here, it says, is excessive or unexpected fees. Of course, consumers cry foul in those regards all the time. Advertising, disclosures, and marketing practices. That one had been primarily a way for them to find you online and or identify UDAAP violations and then initiate law enforcement action against you. This makes it a lot more sensitive. So the dragnet's been cast a lot wider in regards to your business. Customer service issues. Consumer calls, they don't get an answer on the phone, or they do in regards to a couple of complaints that we dealt with last week for some companies. The consumer said that they had called, they talked to a customer service agent in regards to canceling. The customer service agent transferred them back to the sales floor. Of course, that's what happens when you get a client enrolled, and within a couple of days or a day, they're already calling back wanting to cancel. That sales agent got in a sort of for lack of a better term, a pissing match with that consumer, and look what happened. That consumer then lodged that complaint against them, and that was all it took for them to get on the radar, is a poor customer service experience. Now these are added into the portal system as well that allows them direct access to file those claims against your company. Frauds or scams. Notoriously, the media portrays debt settlement as a scam and a fraud. So anytime a collection agency does engage one of the consumers enrolled in the debt settlement program, notoriously, they will tell the consumer that this is a fraud or a scam. that opens up a door immediately for that complaint to be generated in this portal system and puts you on the radar. Now, here's the interesting part. It's not enough that you can get yourself on the radar very quickly in this environment, and that the CFPB is going to be highly aggressive in dealing with you. I mean, they've taken down some very large players with billion-dollar pocketbooks. And even in regards to Google and Microsoft and some of those issues that they've addressed, they couldn't buy their way out of it. So they're forced to accept the law enforcement action as is and pay the hefty fines. A company like yours, per se, in the debt settlement arena wouldn't survive that. So they're not playing around, and they love to make an example of companies that they believe are acting in bad faith. So in order to protect yourself from this, there's an examination manual, and it's 924 pages long, and we've, of course, poured through that thousands of times to look at what it is that the CFPB is wanting from you in regards to their examination. So you get a consumer complaint. Obviously, you want to avoid those at all costs. You want to handle those as quickly as possible. However, one happens. You end up in the crosshairs of an examination. At that point, there's a series of things that you need to have in place in order to demonstrate to the CFPB that you are in compliance with their UDAAP standards. There are a lot of documents and a lot of policies, a lot of procedures, and a lot of common practices that have to be in place in your office environment for you to demonstrate to them that you are not a risk in violating their UDAAP mandates. And for those of you who are not familiar, UDAAP is unfair, deceptive, abusive acts and practices. And so it's easy to fall into that category the way that they've laid the framework out in their examination manual. It's easy for any one of you doing all the right things to violate those mandates, even unexpectedly. So we wanted to discuss a couple of ways that we can help you. Obviously, we have training that will help you walk through the process of creating the documents and policies and systems in-house so that you can demonstrate to them that your eye is on compliance and that you do have systems and protocols and procedures in place in order to mitigate all of those risks to the consumer. And in debt settlement, there's several very inherent risks to the consumer, and it's easy to violate these laws. So we want to help you understand what is it that you need to have in place, how to build those systems, some sort of demonstrated best-in-class systems that you can use in place to fulfill those requirements of the law. And on top of that, you can spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on an attorney that will come in and help you do that. However, it's really, as business people, it shouldn't be necessary. Hiring an attorney to come in and just have a look at what you've created and maybe give you some insight will cost you substantially less money if you've already created the systems and they're simply providing overview services. So we've got training that helps you get yourself prepared for that examination and put the systems in place proactively so that you're creating evidence for your company, not against it. But one of the issues that is very difficult to follow, I'm going to scroll down and read this to you. This is right out of the examination manual. And I'm not going to bore you with all of this, but I do want to talk about a couple of the more important ones. The training programs that need to be in place in your office. This is right in the examination manual. It says education of an entity's board of directors, management, and staff is essential to maintaining an effective compliance program. Board members should receive sufficient information to enable them to understand the entity's responsibilities and the commensurate resource requirements. Management and staff should receive specific comprehensive training that reinforces and helps implement the written policies and procedures necessary to qualify with the UDAAP standards. Requirements for compliance with federal consumer financial laws, including prohibitions against unlawful discrimination and unfair, deceptive, and abusive acts and practices, should be incorporated into training for all relevant officers and employees, including audit personnel. Examiners should seek to determine whether compliance training is current, complete, directed to appropriate individuals based on their roles, effective, and commensurate with the size of the entity and nature and risks to consumers presented by its activities. Next, training is consistent with policies and procedures and designed to reinforce those policies and procedures. Compliance professionals have access to training that is necessary to administer a compliance program that is appropriate for that supervised entity and its business strategy and operations. Examiners should request and review training records and interview management and staff as appropriate to evaluate this element of the compliance program and to refine and focus the examination. Examiners should request and review the schedule, record of completion, and materials for recent compliance training of board members and executive officers. Determine the involvement of compliance officers in selecting, reviewing, or delivering the training content. Request and review policies, standards, schedules, and records of completion for compliance-specific training of compliance professionals, managers, and staff, and documents demonstrating that service providers who have consumer contact or compliance responsibilities are appropriately trained. Request and review samples of the content of training materials and comprehension tests. You need to have comprehension tests in place in every bit of your training. You've got to demonstrate that these agents have been trained, every department has been trained on these compliance protocols. This is a very elaborate process. Trust me, we've run the training business in this industry focusing on just these things over the last 10 years. I know what it takes to build out this type of system, and obviously we've made a living doing it. So it's a big deal, and you can't skimp on this, and you can't delay on this, and it's got to pass the CFPB sniff test. And we built our systems knowing full well that that's how it was going to be. Having these tests involved in the training demonstrates that we've got absorption. We've got the agents are not only being taught the information, but they're absorbing the information, and they're able to effectively deploy the information, and you can test that process. After the fact, auditing protocols need to be in place that continuously audit the agent's performance in order to demonstrate that what they've been trained is being deployed on the floor in a consistent manner, so that you don't have these rogue agents that are saying the wrong things and getting your company in a lot of trouble. Obviously, with our National Debt Consultant Compliance Certification System, we can offer all of those things. We can basically plug this whole cog in your UDAAP compliance mandate checklist. We can complete it with one access to training. And then, of course, mandating that your agents do go through the training, that they do get certified, that testing is in place. We provide documentation for you in regards to their test results. We can tell you based on algorithms in our testing systems how what information the agent is lacking, what they're most likely to be at risk for violating, and we can then customize and cater the training, which we have automated. We've got over 60 hours of intense agent training, customer service training, management training, C-level training. We covered this entire cog, and that was our primary goal when the CFPB was enacted, was to adjust all of our training so that all of our video training series were designed to take an agent from entry level to full deployment on the sales floor in an effective way that bolsters sales, in a consultative way, that we taught them the psychology of the sale, and done it with compliance at the forefront, with truth, transparency, honesty, ethics, all of that at the forefront. Something that would be bona fide. It's not just a cheesy, quick testing and sales training process. This is a very elaborate training process that involves psychology in training that agent to utilize basically a specific psychology in regards to the sale of a debt settlement service, and to do it with absolute compliance, so that you're not violating any laws. You have a higher quality candidate as they come in, as consumers come in and become clients, that they are more able to weather the storm of debt settlement as it happens. They understand the ins and outs, the pros and cons, the disclosures. They get it. A more well-rounded agent equals a more well-rounded consumer, which equals a higher quality sale, more likely to complete the debt settlement program over time and not fall out or believe somehow that they were duped. So this is all really important. Requesting review, training, development, management commitments, appropriate research has been done in regards to compliance. All of these things are right in the examination manual. We're the only company in this industry that provides that service. Not only can we get agents trained quickly and efficiently, we can automate a majority of that system for you. We can train management personnel, customer service staff, so that everybody has got a unified, compliance-driven message for the consumers. Every consumer touch point, every way in which you interact with a consumer has to be compliant. Now, in regards to C-levels, besides the fact that we do have C-level training in regards to all of this, we've got our UDAAP compliance training session. I strongly suggest you go through it. It's very inexpensive for the knowledge and the wisdom that you'll gain in going through that process as we drill down through these examination procedures and look at the laws and how you need to interact with your consumers and how you need to interact with your staff, even in regards to training, in order to guarantee that you are 100% compliant with the rules. Yes, the systems need to be built by you. We can tell you how to do it. We can tell you what it needs to look like and all of that. But you're looking at least 30 days to 90 days in order to develop all these compliance programs. after you've completed our class. So CFPB now circling back, looking at our industry, we've got a huge amount of risk. If it affects you, it affects us. We operate in this industry. We have for over 10 years. We've been leaders in this industry for over 10 years. Obviously hosted major industry conferences. We've done a lot for this industry. We've hosted compliance training calls for USOBA when they were in business, so to speak. And we have pioneered a majority of the compliance systems in this industry. So if you have a compliance system in your organization that you have gleaned from another organization, a parent organization, or a peer, more than likely we've developed that system out for that industry, even in conjunction with industry-leading attorneys. So what I need you to understand is that when they circle back, okay, I believe that the remaining players in the debt settlement space are the good guys. We have a very viable service. Obviously, we believe in it. The consumers are going back into debt. The credit card companies are obviously overwhelming them again with debt. It's just a cycle of our economy. And we provide a viable option outside of bankruptcy to help these clients out. One mistake by a company out there that's not operating in compliance to these rules and don't have these systems in place, and it's just a matter of time before you become on the radar, whether you wanted to or not, because it's going to demonstrate to the CFPB that there are inherent risks in this industry. We already went through enough, I believe, through the FTC actions and the law changes and watching the states adapt those TSR amendments as their own state sanctioned laws. It's really put a hamper in our ability to provide the mass and the volume of settlement services that we should for an industry that, or for an economy that's failing like ours is. So this industry is important to me. Debt relief as a whole. If you're involved in student loan debt relief, it's no different. You need this class so that you can understand how to build the right systems. And you also need to understand what you need to say and what you can't say on a phone call, especially with regards to agents and customer service. So the message that I want to deliver to you today is please give us a call and let us help you. This is what we do for a living. Obviously, we want to assist you to perform better as a company, but to be completely compliant with all of the laws, not just the federal laws, but the state laws as well. And our training can literally satisfy a huge portion of this workload. Unless you feel that you can satisfy these on your own, and that's fine too. Please give me a call. Let's talk it through, and I can help you free of charge to walk through those processes. But anyway, please engage our company and have a look at some of this training material. I'd love to give you a tour of what it is that we do and show you how the systems work and how they can benefit your company as a whole. But for the most part, we can't afford any more trouble. It's been hard enough as it is, and you just need to have these things in place because I'll tell you what, the naysayers in the media would love to see another spread of enforcement actions taken against this industry so they can point their fingers even more and say, ha ha, I told you these guys are bad guys. So that's my message for you today. Is we're here to help you, and I want you to be aware of what's happening. I want you to pay close attention to what's happening in the market. Obviously, set your Google alerts to CFPB and/or debt settlement so that you can see these real-time developments, or follow our Twitter feed, which is on our website as well. Have a look at that. We try to update that every day with relevant stuff. Obviously, the Google alert system will overwhelm you with a lot of junk that you don't need. You'll have hundreds of emails. You'll eventually get tired of it and cancel it. We pour through those every day to look at what's relevant. We read those articles. We investigate those articles to make sure that the information is accurate and correct. And if we feel that it's relevant for you, we'll post it out there on our Twitter feed, which shows up on our website. Or you can just follow us on Twitter as well. Obviously, most of you are connected to us on LinkedIn. I would recommend if you need anything, obviously please contact us, and I'll be happy to spend some time with you and discuss whether or not you've got risks that are need to be addressed and or how we can help you. I'll tell you right now, our motto has always been, from the day one we created this company, is that money will never be the reason why good companies can't have access to the important compliance training that they need in order to survive. So I'll tell you right now, it's not about the money for us. It's really about progressing this industry as a whole, and we want to help you. So drop me a line if you need help with anything at all. If you want to have a look at our training systems, I strongly recommend at the bare minimum that you engage in our UDAAP training courses and at least go through it, start building these systems out, and get prepared. You will not have notice if the CFPB comes and issues an examination procedure. You'll have absolutely no time to prepare. At that moment, you need to be able to provide exactly what they're looking for in order to get a high enough grade for them to move on in the examination and realize that you're not a risk. If you're low enough on their rating system based on them reviewing the documents and information that they're going to request, you're done. I'm just going to tell you, you're done. They're going to show up. You're going to have insufficient amount of information. You're going to have to lawyer up. It's going to cost you $100,000 just to fight it. So even if you win, you lose, says one of my good friends, Mike Mallow and Mike Thurman. So again, onward and upward. I hope everything is going well. And again, reach out to us and let us help you. Take care.